engine swaps are finally available in Gran Turismo 7, and in this video I'm going to give you the ultimate guide to which cars you can engine swap and how much each of those engines is going to cost. There are so many cars you can now engine swap. It no longer requires you to win a stupid roulette ticket to get an engine swap. So we're going to start now with the Audi TT, and to engine swap this car we simply go over to GT Auto, head over to car maintenance and service, and at the bottom of here we've got the engine swap available, 183,000 credits, and it's going to be the BYH R8 engine. It's going to give us maximum power of 414 brake horsepower. The important thing with engine swaps, once you apply the engine swap you cannot change back. Any parts you had tuned on the previous engine will be lost, and once you apply new tuning parts that are uninstallable, they will stay on the car forever. I've got a completely separate video dedicated to the upgrade paths. I'll link that at the end of this video. The MR2 GTS 1997 also has an engine swap available. It is going to be also with the BYH R8 engine, and it's going to give you the exact same power that it gave you in the TT. The BMW 3-litre CSL 1973 has an engine swap available, 325,000 credits for the P65B44-Z4 engine. These engines, they really roll off the tongue, don't they? So it's going to get you 522 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower for this old car. The BMW M3 2003 model has also got the same engine swap available. The Z4 engine, again, is going to get 470 horsepower. The car I'm modifying from is actually probably a little bit tuned, so the actual improvement is a little bit different, but it is going to get you 470 horsepower with this engine. And the engine is from the GT3 car, so fuel mileage should be good with this engine. That'll be quite an interesting tune, I think, guys. The TVR Tuscan Speed 6 from 2000 has got an engine swap available for 139,000 credits. It's the LT4 Camaro engine, 649 horsepower, so that's going to be pretty wild in that car, I think. Pontiac Firebird Transam from 1978, 160,000 credits engine swap, and it's going to be the LS9 Corvette engine, 639 horsepower in this vintage muscle car. That is a lot of power. I'm not sure how that's going to drive. It's going to need a lot of tuning to get that going well, I think. Mazda Roadster S ND 2015 model has a £125,000 engine swap for the LT1 Corvette engine, 453 horsepower in a Mazda. That's going to be wild, guys. I'm going to try that one out for sure. Corvette convertible C3 from 1969, 167,000 credit engine swap, and we're going to go 754 horsepower in that vintage muscle car. That is going to be wild. I'm saying that quite a lot, guys, but these engine swaps, it's so good to see. We can finally buy them, we can finally use them. Absolutely incredible. That's a lot of power to deal with in such an old car. And the same engine also goes in the hardtop version of the Corvette Stingray. LT5 engine, Corvette C7, 754 horsepower, guys. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you let me know in the comments below which engine swaps are you going to be going for. Nissan Silvia K-Type S S14 from 1994, £167,000 engine swap. Pound, dollars, money, credits. LT5 Corvette C7 engine, again with monster horsepower. This is an engine that goes in a lot of cars. Pretty cheap engine. That'll be good to go in, I think. Subaru BRZ, or BRZ depending which country you come from. STI Sport 2018. Same engine swap, the LT5 Corvette C7. 700 horsepower in a BRZ. Wow, that's going to be mad, guys. And then the exact same engine in the exact same car, but with a Toyota badge on it. So the Toyota GT Limited 16 has the LT5 Corvette C7 engine swap. So choose your favorite brand bolt in a Corvette engine and off you go. Dodge Challenger RT 1970, 138,000 credit engine swap for a Hellcat Charger engine, 707 horsepower. A lot of horsepower, guys. This seems to be the theme of these engine swaps. Mega horsepower, all good. The Superbird 1970 Plymouth can also have the Hellcat Charger engine swap. It's a pretty wild car to drive, that is. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a muscle car kind of drift tune. I'm always keen to do something pretty crazy, so let me know in the comments, guys. The Willys Jeep MB45 coming in with another Hellcat engine swap, 707 horsepower in this wild four-wheel drive lightweight Willys Jeep. That's going to be fun. I think we'll get onto that one. The Alfa Romeo 4C 2014 model is a really interesting one because for 241,000 credits you can put in a Ferrari 458 engine in this car. So Ferrari 458 is one of my favourite cars of all time. The engine sounds incredible, and in fact I rarely won this engine in an engine swap. I didn't bother making a video on that because quite frankly nobody else could have got the engine. It was very down to chance, but now you can buy the engines, and I'm probably going to do this in a build on my channel in the future. Oh boy, Ferrari F40 1992 with a $1.35 million engine swap. On the screen right now I've got the Liberty Walk kind of livery on the car. It looks absolutely incredible, and with a Ferrari engine, with a Ferrari Enzo engine swap with 658 horsepower, that's going to be a really fun build. It probably is worth the 1.35 million credits on that one. Let me know in the comments below which is going to be your next engine swap. Ford Focus RS 2018 model, 700,000 credit engine swap. That's quite expensive, but what engine is it? It's going to be the Ford GT LM test car engine with 590 horsepower. That's a pretty wild engine, and I think the fuel mileage might be okay on the engine because it is from one of the Group 3 cars. That could be an interesting build, guys. Maybe that would work at Le Mans, maybe. Let's maybe check that in the future. The Tommaso Pantera 1971 with a very modest 122,000 credit engine swap for the Coyote 5-litre Mustang engine, 434 horsepower, so quite a modest amount of horsepower, but it's a very old car, and yeah, that could be an interesting one. Mid-engine, is that going to be a big weight penalty? In fact, it's a weight saving, so that could work out as a pretty good build. Mustang Mach 1 1971 with a modest £122,000 engine for that Coyote 5-litre Mustang engine. Again, modest horsepower improvement. Be interested to see what the drivability is like, but it is lower weight as well, so that seems to be a lightweight, powerful engine. Honda Beat from 1991 with an engine swap, 127,000 credits for a Honda Civic engine. We're going to go from 63 horsepower in this K car up to 315 horsepower. It's going to gain a little bit of weight, but we're still below a ton of weight. That is going to be pretty fast. Is it a mid-engine car? It is a mid-engine car. That is going to be a very loud and very tight engine bay in that car right there. Honda Civic Type R EK 1998 engine swap for £127,000 credit. Pounds, dollars, I don't know. But it's going to be the Civic engine, 315 horsepower, so almost double the horsepower for that. A little bit heavier. That should be a nice balanced upgrade, I think. Now for the Honda Integra Type R DC2 1998. Same engine, so the Civic 2020 engine, 315 horsepower, a little bit heavier. Again, I think that'll be a nice balanced upgrade for that car. Mini Cooper S from 1965 with the Honda Civic engine. Not quite sure how it's going to be fit into that engine bay there. It's quite a small car, but 315 horsepower in less than 700 kilograms worth of car. That's going to be a pretty nippy little beast. Around some of the smaller tracks, that could be really good. Front wheel drive isn't my personal preference, but let's see how that can deal with the 315 horsepower. The Fiat Abarth 595 SS 1970 with the same Honda Civic engine in it, 315 horsepower, even lighter power to weight ratio, so under 600 kilograms of car. Rear engine, rear wheel drive. That could be a very interesting drift build, guys. Already the engine bay doesn't quite fully close on the standard Abarth, so for sure we might have to prop open that engine bay a little bit more. The Amuse S2000, essentially a tuned Honda S2000 GT1 Turbo with a $500,000 credit pound engine swap. And it's going to be the NSX engine. I think that's the Group 2 GT500 NSX engine, and that's interestingly, this is the first power reduction we've seen with these engine swaps. Now, that car I believe is completely stock. I don't think I've modified that at all. So that is a power reduction. However, with it being a Group 2 GT500 engine, I think the fuel efficiency on that would be really quite good. So that's going to be interesting to see if it brings that car into play for any of the other kind of fuel depletion races. Honda NSX Type R 2002, $500,000 credit engine swap again for the GT500 NSX engine, except this time we have a performance increase, 603 horsepower in this 2002 Honda NSX, an even older Honda NSX Type R with the same engine swap, so even more madness to drive, I'm pretty sure. Now this is probably the most interesting engine swap of all, the BRZ or BRZ drift car from 2017. Mad car, absolutely crazy power, $500,000 credit engine swap, and it's going to be almost a 60% power, so 40% power reduction from over 1,000 horsepower down to 600 horsepower. Red across the board in almost all of the stats. Why would you want to do this? Now, I think this could make the car a little bit more drivable, because if ever you've tried to drive it, if ever you've done the drift mission at the end of the drift missions, it's incredibly hard to drive. There's so much power in it. I think this Honda NSX GT500 engine could really make the car a lot more drivable and a lot more usable for many of the other races in Gran Turismo 7. Lamborghini Countach 25th anniversary 80s icon for supercars with a 350,000 credit engine swap, and it's going to be the Aventador SV engine, 739 horsepower in this vintage Lamborghini from 1988. That's going to be a build that I'll feature on my channel in the future, guys, because I think that is worthwhile doing. Even if it just sits there idling, that'd be pretty fantastic. The Crown Athlete G 2013, the car I can honestly say I have the least interest in ever. I wouldn't even begin to want to drive this car, but with a $500,000 credit engine swap for a I think it's the Lexus SC430, I think it's the Group 2 GT500 engine with 516 horsepower, maybe I'll consider driving it. RX-7 Spirit R Type A FD 2002, an iconic RX-7 with a rotary engine. What engine could you potentially put in this car? So for 1.2 million credits, you can put the Mazda 787B engine in this car. Absolutely incredible engine. We're going to go from 292 horsepower for the stock RX-7 to 690 horsepower, revving up beyond 12 to 13,000 RPM. That's going to be a lot of power and a lot of fun. This 787B engine also fits in the RX-8. Interesting fact, I owned a first generation RX-8. I absolutely loved it. It's such an incredible car to drive, but it drank fuel, it drank oil, and you had to just cross your fingers to see if it would start every single time you got in the car, because if you started the car with a warm engine, it was part luck whether it started or not. It was not a good car. I loved it for all of its faults, but if it had a Mazda 787B engine in it, yeah, I'd have it back again. I probably couldn't afford the fuel bill though. Toyota Tundra TRD Pro 2019, a truck that barely fits in GT Auto, and for 500,000 credits you could put a GT500 Group 2 engine in your truck. Now, we don't really gain that much horsepower, and I don't really know how it's going to work out because we're losing displacement. It's somehow heavier. How can a GT500 engine be heavier than a Tundra engine? Not sure. Gran Turismo logic maybe. But that'll be an interesting one. It will certainly sound fantastic, that's for sure. A little Mazda Roadster non-aspirated engine from 1989. 222,000 credits for an RX-7 engine into a tiny Mazda. That'll be pretty fun. The tiny Suzuki Cappuccino 1991 K car with a 225,000 engines. An RX-7 rotary engine in a Suzuki Cappuccino. Sounds perfect to me. Nissan Fairlady Z34 from 2008 with a 600,000 credit engine swap, and it's going to be a Nissan GTR engine. That's quite an interesting one, guys. Lancia Delta HF Integrale Evoluzione engine swap for 193,000 credits. It is the GTR engine, 591 horsepower. It's got four-wheel drive, so it should be able to deal with the power. That'll be a good valley drift car, I think, guys. Get it in the Martini livery maybe, that'd be perfect. Nissan Fairlady Z300ZX TT 2-seater with the GTR engine swap, 591 horsepower. Solid. Very interesting one, this, guys, because it's the first and only group car that you can do an engine swap on. So it's a Group 4 Silvia Spec R Aero with the engine swap from the GTR Nismo. I've got it obviously in the GT Omega livery, guys. If you want to get anything from GT Omega, then make sure you check out the links in the description below for 5% off anything at GT Omega. GT Omega help me out so I can help you out with videos like this to help you get faster or understand more about Gran Turismo 7. Yeah, I think we're going to try a Nissan GTR engine in this Silvia. Another Silvia, this time the road car edition, K Dia Selection S13 Silvia, 134,000 engine swap for an S15 engine. This is a pretty mild engine swap. Of all the engine swaps we've done in this video so far, I think this is the most of them all. Volkswagen Beetle 1200 1966 with an engine swap. This is an engine swap that was in the trailer for Gran Turismo 7 over a year ago, and finally, for the first time, I would now be able to buy this engine swap. It is the Porsche 911 engine. It's going to give me 255 horsepower in this 1966 Beetle. The stock Beetle has got a whole 33 horsepower, so that's a huge horsepower improvement. But I cannot believe it's taken this long, over a year with the game, playing almost daily, before I've been able to get the engine swap from the trailer of Gran Turismo 7. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below, guys. And the exact same Porsche 911 engine can go in the Samba bus. So 255 horsepower in a Samba bus. That sounds like a death machine to me. The Porsche 911 Turbo 930 1981. So this car is 1 year younger than me. With an engine swap, and this one's pretty wild, guys. 911 engine, and it's actually going to detune it a little bit. I think this is because my car that's on screen right now, I modified it. I tuned it up to be exactly 600 or 700 pp for a Le Mans race, so that's why we're getting a horsepower reduction. But 509 horsepower, and then I'm sure you can apply more tuning on top of that. That'll be a pretty cool one. And the classic Porsche look with the big rear wang, I could probably go wider arches on that than I have got already. What a fantastic car that's going to be. I'm going to build that and drive that in the future on my channel. The A-Muse Nismo 380RS Super something, I can't read it, it's cut off there. But for 250,000 credits we can put the LS7 Rampage engine. It's one of the early DLC cars from Gran Turismo 7. So we could put 748 horsepower into this car, which is that is a lot of horsepower. We're back with the big, heavy-hitting, high horsepower engines again, guys. Nissan Silvia Q S13 1988, 300,000 engine swap. It's LS7 from the BRZ. That's interesting. So we've got that is incredible. So hold on, for 300,000 credits in probably one of the most boring cars in Gran Turismo 7, we can put an engine with 1,037 horsepower. I'll buy 4 of those. That is an absolutely fantastic deal there, that is, guys. The amount of credits per horsepower ratio is through the roof. That's wild, guys. Let me know what you think of that in the comments below. 1,000 horsepower through that car. That is, and it's got a massive horsepower per ton ratio as well. That could possibly be the maddest car in Gran Turismo 7. 1,037 horsepower. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution Final 2015 model. So for almost 1 million credits, what can we do with this car? We could put the Escudo engine in this Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. So we get 981 horsepower in this. The car's already 4-wheel drive. Engine swap for the Nissan Silvia Spec R Aero S15 2002 model. And it's going to be the GTE Supra engine for 210,000 credits. Only get 325 horsepower out of it, so it's quite a mild, modest upgrade. The Subaru BRZ S21, we can also put that Supra engine in it, 325 horsepower, and unsurprisingly the same engine can go into the same car with a different badge on it, so you could have it in the Toyota GR86 as well if you wanted to. And the engine also fits in the GR Yaris RZ High Performance. That might be quite a good 4-wheel drive car, higher amounts of brake horsepower. Yeah, could be a solid ride. And we've perhaps saved the best till last. So a Volkswagen Golf I GTI from 1983 probably costs maybe 25 to 30,000 credits. We could put a 1.2 million engine in this car. It's the Audi Quattro Pikes Peak version to give us 588 horsepower through the front wheels of a 1983 Golf GTI. I feel sorry for those front tyres, I can just feel it already. That's going to cover most of the engine swaps in Gran Turismo 7, but there are more available. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like this video. I'll be covering those in the future on my channel. If you need to earn some serious credit so you can afford these engine swaps, then go and check out the 2 videos linked on screen right now. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.